So the title of this video is Don't Do a Land Development Deal Until You Watch This. And in this video, we're going to be sharing with you the 5 biggest mistakes developers make. My name's Ryan and I'm one of the co-founders of Assets for Life. I'm here today with
Jay Munoz.
The other co-founder of Assets for Life. We are business partners and we are just about to celebrate 4 years working together. And in that time, we have raised over £5 million in joint venture finance, and we've added over £12 million worth of property to our portfolios. We started off with single lets and HMOs and serviced accommodation units and smaller developments, and now we're doing bigger development deals. So in this video, if you are new, please hit subscribe and the notification bell straight away. And we're going to now share with you the 5 biggest mistakes developers make. So the first big mistake developers make, as we know, Jay, is wrong location, no demand, wrong site, wrong place. Talk about that, please.
Absolutely. Location, location, location. Every single postcode in the UK has got a microeconomy. That's the way we see it. If you basically build or develop in an area where construction cost is higher than the selling cost, then you are, you have a lot of problems in your hands. So basically, you need to make sure you scrutinize your area, you scrutinize demand, you scrutinize supply, and you also scrutinize construction costs in that area so you don't get it wrong.
Yeah, so when we talk about wrong location, because there's all well and good finding a land site or a commercial conversion and it's say, hey, look, we can go and build 10 houses. But if the market doesn't want houses, then there's no point building those houses, is there? So you've got to give the market what it wants. This is really important.
It's like your customers, isn't it? Knowing your customers deep inside out, what they want and need, and what do you give them that they only come to you and only to you? It's answering those 2 questions, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. So what they can do then, Jay, is go and speak to local agents, right?
100%. I would just go, look at Rightmove for starters. How many properties are listed there? How many properties have been sold in the last, few months? You can check them on that way. And then you also go and speak to agents. Agents do have databases of, people that are looking for properties. And then you ask a simple question, if I give you, let's say, 1-bedroom flats that I'm trying to convert this unit, how quickly would you sell them? Yeah, and dig a little bit more. Say, look, okay? They say, okay, I'll say in a week. Okay, demonstrate that. How come? Do you have a database of people? Can I have a look at that? That sort of stuff that you need to go into detail.
Excellent. So number 2, Jay, is build costs. This is so important, isn't it? 100%. So why do people get this so wrong? What's the deal here, mate?
But basically, this is the thing, right? So everyone wants businesses, and sometimes you get the wrong advice right at the start of your journey. Perhaps a contractor says that I'm going to build for X amount, and that's not true. When it comes to the fact, when it comes to the actual do the development, they exponentially increase the cost, and then you're in trouble. So all the time, it's better just to speak to local QSs, speak to local people that know, done so many projects that can give you a better idea of what the pound per square meter is in that area. So then you can ascertain whether you are actually using the correct number for a particular project. Because once again, every single postcode in the UK is a microeconomy, and if you're here in Loughton, the price per square meter of construction is completely different from Sun 1 and Sun 2, or in Liverpool, or up in Colchester or whatever. So it's key to do that research.
And it also depends on the standard of the build as well, doesn't it? You normally have like low, mid and high range, and then you've got super luxury. This site that we're doing here in Loughton, Jay, what's our spec, would you say? We're a high range, we're not super luxury. Where are we at?
No, we're not super luxury. Obviously the area doesn't grant super luxury flats over here. We're using decent materials, really good materials, but higher than average. So it's like high end, materials that we're using. you know, funky designs, a lot of light, you know, really clever designs as well, so to facilitate that. So that's what we're using here, yeah. So and also ourselves, we pride ourselves, you know, in the fact that we will build an asset where we ourselves live in. Yeah. So this is what we're doing over here. Yeah, Loughton is a really nice area.
What's our build cost here, Jay?
Right, so our build cost in here, I mean, we had subcontractors and sort of all the iteration process that we had, roughly between 1,950 to 2,000 pounds per square meter. That's currently the build cost, including piling, including superstructure and superstructure works, and including the fit out. So that's roughly more or less where we are in this project.
The third biggest mistake developers make is access to the site. So talk us through that, Jay.
Right, so basically, guys, you know, if you imagine a corner plot, bear with me, right? So a corner plot is ideal. The reason being is because we have access from both, you know, from both ends, from two sides. So then you can build, you know, you can store materials. You can bring lorries into the site easily and build your structure. But when you have limited access, then you are constrained. So sometimes you need to bring, let's say, you know, steel frame structure, and then you can only do it by bits. So that means, you know, you need to chop all this up, and it will cost you more money, you know, in the long run, because you need to bring small vehicles to bring those, you know, units rather than a big, large vehicle. You need to think about storage as well. You know, when you're building something, you need people to accommodate. So you need your workers. They need to have facilities to change themselves.
Even where we are now, we're in one of the offices from the owner that we bought the site, because this is used as a site meeting. It's important, is it, that sometimes you can get a unit actually on the site, but our site here is so tight and compact, we need to...
That's absolutely key, and this is the thing. I did projects in central London. One typical example is 150 New Bond Street. The price of accommodation around the site was astronomically expensive. So we end up doing a temporary work structure with a cantilever over the road that end up costing you a lot of money, because you need side cabins, you need to put, you know, you need facilities for your workers, you know, to change themselves, so that, you know, you need to think about access. So it's key that you bring your contractors, when you're doing your pricing, when you're doing your tendering, to make as a requirement of the tender that the contractors come to site and look at the access, so they can price the work.
Because the access also can have a big effect on utilities. So, you know, you might have planning permission for a site, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can even build on it, because you've got to make sure that you can get the right electric and gas lines onto that site, right? So how do you do that?
Right. So basically, this is the thing. You need to look at your searches. I mean, the best tip I can give you guys is, every time you're going to look into a project, go and walk every single inch. Right. Ideally, you want to do your searches first, so you know roughly where the services go, even though this is not accurate information. But let's say, for an instance, I got my searches back from my legal team, and I see a sewer, okay? I got to site and tried to allocate that sewer. And if that sewer is in my site, you're in big trouble. You might not even be able to build it, because, you know, you are building on the top of a public, you know, asset. And Thames Water, for an instance, wouldn't allow you to do that. Or you need a long-winded process to do it. I did projects in central London where we were excavating on the top of a tunnel, the Victoria Tunnel, and we had to go backwards and forwards with network rail, with endless studies, you know, you name it, for months and months and months, until they granted the permission to excavate in front of it, and then move forward. But that could kill a project, couldn't it? Years and years of waiting for a decision, it could kill a project easily if you buy the asset up front.
And actually, what you just mentioned there is one of the things that we teach at our events. And we run events all over the UK, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're watching this video now and you've got an interest in becoming a property developer, a property investor, you want to start making big lumps of cash through developments, and you want to make sure you do it right from the very beginning, then you're going to want to come and spend a whole day with us at one of our events, What do you need to do right now? Click in the link in the description and grab your complimentary ticket. We would love to see you at the event. We will welcome you with open arms, and we really will give you everything you need, won't we, Jay, to ensure that you can start, scale and grow and become a property developer. Now, Jay, the fourth big thing where people make big mistakes in land development is not having the right power team in place. Correct. So what is a power team? And for land development, who do you need in your power team?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the thing, guys. You obviously build things with people, right? The people you surround yourself with, yeah? Best tip I can give you guys, if you don't have a mentor, go and get one, right? Because this is paramount. You need to property development is like you're an orchestra director. You need to appoint the right person at the right time, you know, to do a particular job. And if you appoint the wrong person, you can end up losing a lot of money or going bankrupt. Best example I can give you is, we just did an interview here with a structural engineer. He's both a temporary works engineer and a permanent works engineer. He's got 43 years experience, you know, in temporary works and permanent works engineer. If we didn't have that in-house, that means we would have to appoint a temporary works engineer. And if that, you know, so for an instance, sometimes when developers don't know about this, they appoint a permanent works engineer, they start doing the designs, they overkill the design, you end up spending a lot more money and a lot more time, and sometimes starting all over again.
So they need to understand what you need as a developer out the scheme as well, and they need to understand that you need a fantastic product but maximize return.
Correct. And again, just going back to obviously the question of having the wrong people for the, you know, from the wrong job, will cost you a lot of money. So it's key that, you know, if let's say you start a project right from the start that you haven't done it, you haven't got a clue about a project, you get, you know, help, someone that's been there before that can help you with, like, look, you know, I think you need these people here. So you know, who do you know who at the end of the day, isn't it, in property development? So key that you get an input for someone else that's done this before that can say, look, I strongly recommend you that you appoint this person for this job, and you need the specialist field for this job as well, because otherwise you end up paying the consequences later.
So some other people that you're going to need in your power team when doing land development are the following people. You're going to want to write this stuff down. You need to make sure you've got the right type of solicitor that has got experience with land development deals. You're going to need to make sure you've got the right development broker, someone that can go and get you commercial lending. You're going to want to make sure you've got your right main contractor and the subcontractors. And ultimately, you're going to need a fantastic architect, and then you're going to need all your engineers. That's who you need initially in your power team. And of course, we do all of this using other people's money, so even investors are a member of your power team. So the final, this is the biggest thing, Jay, that I could possibly think of. The fifth thing is end GDV. So what does GDV even mean? And why do people make this a big mistake?
Okay, right, yeah, very easily done, this mistake. So GDV stands for gross development value. It's basically the end product. How much is that product worth at the end of the project? And you know, we need to basically make, as a developer, you need to make that call. Yeah, so it's key to have the right information. As always say in life, your decision should be backed up with the statistics, you know, proof. Okay, so the best thing to do, guys, is right before you start a project, let's say you're given a GDV, go and scrutinize that. So what I mean by that, you know, if you, let's say we're doing a project with this, they have told you there's £5 million GDV, then you go item by item. Okay, £5 million. What is here then? How many units do we have? So let's say we have one unit, £1 million each. So then go to the details. So for that unit, for £1 million each, how many have been sold in the vicinity? Yeah, on the same postcode at £1 million. If there is none there, you start, question it, wouldn't you?
Digging deeper.
Digging deeper. You know, also look at supply and demand, you know. Or let's say, for instance, there is a, you know, there is comparables there for £1 million flats, but the reality is where you know, where we are in a journey that we are fluctuates. You know, the value fluctuates up and down, up and down. Currently, we are through Brexit. 100% sure properties are well over 600,000, even in London. I'm not shifting, and I know that there is not enough, you know, people there wanting to buy. So you need to make that call. If you still have the comparable there, let's say for £1 million, but when you build a structure 18 months or 2 years down the line, or 4 or 12 months down the line, you might not even be able to sell. So you need to make that call. So make sure that when you make that call, you're backing up by, you know, so like for like comparables, same area, same location. And also make a call on when you are in the cycle, you know. So for an instance, in this example that I just given you, if I've got £5 million right now that I know the properties are not selling, I might think of chopping off 25%, maybe 20% of those £5 million.
And then you still need to make sure you've got your profit and then work backwards.
Absolutely.
So if anything at the moment, we want to be ensuring that we're getting at least 25, 30, if not 35% profit on GDV.
Yeah.
So if the end GDV is £1 million, you're going to want to make sure 300,000 to 350,000 is profit, and you know that you could come down to 250,000 depending on your scheme and depending on what you find out. So ladies and gentlemen, they are the 5 biggest mistakes developers make. So what do you need to do? Make sure you get the site in the right location and you give the customer what they need. 2, ensure that you go out to main contractors and you really dig deep on your build cost. You've got to ensure that you've got great access, build that strong power team right from the beginning, and ultimately be completely honest when it comes to your GDV. If we can become property developers and investors using other people's money, and you can start this just part-time, then you can definitely do this for sure. We really hope that you've enjoyed this latest episode of Tips on a Tuesday. Somewhere around the video now, you will find some more videos to watch, so go and click them immediately, and we will see you at one of our up-and-coming events. And what would really help us if you could please like and share the video.
All the best. Bye for now.
See you later, guys. Bye.